I am having a hard time this week making sense of the fact that there are a lot of people who didn't seem to see this coming, that somehow we weren't a country with complications around race and representation and whether or not Black people should be able to choose their own elected officials. And so I am smiling, but I am angry AF. I'm not going to swear yet. I'm going to try to hold that back towards the end of the show. Mike, you're not surprised.
No, not at all. I mean, we talked about this last week in reference to Virginia's, redistricting efforts and the celebratory mood that everybody had in the aftermath. And I was like, hey, listen, like this is only the beginning. And, I look at what's happening right now after the Supreme Court ruling as kind of like the October surprise that the Republican Party had in store for us that was part of Project 2025. And that was, their effort to bring us back to Jim Crow. And we are vastly approaching a Jim Crow 2.0 in this, Trump administration.
Oh, they've made it very clear. The Make America Great Again, the taking us back to that 1950s and before that dystopia. They've made it very clear that it was never about the economy. It was never about inflation. In fact, it has always been about recreating this white Christian nationalist male-led society, and be damned anybody else's freedom. Because what I'm seeing is this isn't helpful for anyone. Like I'm seeing communities, regardless of whether they're white communities or Black communities or Latino communities, being completely disenfranchised because everybody's screaming, we don't want war. We want you to keep your campaign promises. And the Trump administration is just like, to hell with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's important that we go back to the origins of the MAGA movement. And they are the idea that white middle-aged men in this country possessed, that they were being replaced or that they were losing their status in this country. And so what you've seen now is a backlash to that sentiment and a restoration of white supremacy, at least in their minds, that's state sponsored or government sponsored.
So obviously we saw what happened when white men thought they were being replaced. They stormed the frickin' Capitol. Mm-hmm. And we're now 6 months out from the midterms, and this administration is doing everything that it can to tip the scales in the favor of continued Republican representation, continued Republican control. What do you see happening 6 months from now? Because it seems to me that they're not going to relinquish any kind of control whatsoever, at least not peacefully.
Yeah, I don't think Democrats are going to be able to gerrymander their way out of this, this moment. I don't think that there's going to be the blue wave that they were anticipating, not because voters aren't going to or are not energized or appalled at what's happening, but because they're cheating. They're cheating. They're going to go into every Republican-controlled state, and they're going to do exactly what they're doing in places like Tennessee and Alabama. They're going to eliminate representation for people of color, and they're going to gain the amount of seats that they need to at least maintain control of the House, most likely control of the Senate as well. And the states that, the Democratic-controlled states, I believe, because Donald Trump and his close allies have told us that they are going to use the federal government, they are going to use federal law enforcement agencies to intimidate voters, to scare voters away. They're going to use state legislatures to legislate the ability to vote, to restrict that ability so much so that it's almost impossible for certain communities to turn out in the numbers that are needed to defeat this effort.
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly cheating. And I was having this conversation with my mom, and to understand, my mom was raised in the 60s, 60s and 70s. She was born in the 50s. And she's like, people really don't understand. People aren't ready to wrap their heads around what's to come. What this government is willing to do to repress people. And that's not just Black people, like I said before, but all people, because everyone is going to want to speak up for their rights when data centers are coming to the neighborhood and decimating the environment and making energy prices go up. Everybody's going to want to take the streets. We've already seen people in town halls angry about decisions that are being made to bring data centers to their town against their will. And so I think what I'm trying to communicate to people is that this isn't just like, even if it were just a Black person and a racism problem, it should be a 5-alarm fire. But this should be a 5-alarm fire for everyone, regardless of race, because they're literally about to come for everybody's rights, and they're using these maps and this racism almost as a way to distract people, enough white people, where they think, oh, but this isn't going to affect me. Like what's happening in Alabama and Tennessee, that's not going to affect me. Like, is it clear how this is all going to eventually affect everybody?
It should be clear. I mean, but again, you know, I never err on the side of compassion and empathy when it comes to Americans. My experience, especially over the past 5.5, 6 years, has just been complete opposite of that. You know, part of the reason why we're in the predicament that we're in today is because Americans don't care about their neighbors. They don't care about communities that, you know, that may look different from them or have a different perspective or experience than they have. And so, you know, again, going back, like, look at the people that are turning away from this administration that previously supported it, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. They're turning away because of the war in Iran, because of the Epstein files, or just because of gas prices. Like, until it impacts them directly, it's not really a problem. And so, you know, again, denying a vote to, you know, smaller communities, communities of color in this country, unfortunately, I don't think it's resonating with enough white Americans. And
No,
they don't see the connection that you're drawing there, that, you know, this administration attacking one people's, you know, one group's freedoms, group of Americans, by the way, freedoms should be seen as an attack on all of our freedoms, on everyone's, you know, ability to achieve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in this country.